Hey, Xander and Tucker and Riley, I miss you guys. I'm Mrs. Holland, and I'm sorry we haven't been able to meet in person, but we will one day. We'll be able to do that. Today in class, in science class, we talked about lab stuff. So we talked about safety in the lab, and we talked about different measuring devices that we have in the lab, and then we played around with a few of them today in class. So I'm going to go over that with you all, so at least you're up to date as to what we're doing. So one of the first things we talked about was where is the fire alarm, because that's kind of a big thing in case there was a fire. And so let me show you where the fire alarm may be. And we have to go outside the classroom for this. So I'm going to go outside the classroom, and I come all the way over here. Does this all look familiar to you? And here is the fire alarm. So that's where you would go if something was on fire. You would go there. Then we talked about the fire extinguisher, which here's my sink area right here. And so there's my fire extinguisher. Right here is an eye wash station. So this is going to be if you got something in your eye, we would take off the lid and we would pour it in your eye to get whatever chemicals were in your eye. Hopefully that will never happen, but it's good to know where it is. So that was a little bit of the safety. I'm going to post a safety video also so that you can look at that. It just has some safety ideas. Then we talked about measuring, and let me talk about some of the different ways that we measure. I've got 3 different kinds of scales here, and this is to measure mass. And I'm about to get a 4th measurement device, a scale that's even better. So let's just talk about this first one here. This one probably looks familiar because this is one that you used probably in the other class. And for this, you would just pile up some masses of things that you already know. Well, that's too much. And you would pile it up and wait till this thing is just right. And then here it goes. And so then you would just add up all these different masses here. I think that's like a 20 and a 10 and a 2. And that would be how much this beaker would weigh, would be all that. Another type of scale is called a triple beam. And this is a triple beam right here. You just put your, whatever you're trying to measure right here, which is a beaker. And then you use this. The mass is already built in. And it's going to be 60... there we go, about 66 grams. So 66 grams here. And then the third way is, this is a little bit easier, I think. This is going to be an electronic scale. I don't know if you can see this. And it says G for grams, and you just put that on there, and it says 65, 66. So what's nice about the electronic scale that I really like a lot is that if I was trying to measure out that I wanted to get like 10 grams of water, I could put my beaker on there, and then I could hit the 0. And what that does is that it zeroes out the scale, so then whatever I add to the beaker is what I'm going to measure. And so now I'm going to add some water to the beaker, and I can get up to 10 grams. There we go, 10 grams. So I've got 10 grams of water in the beaker. Even though the beaker weighs 66 grams, it's not showing because I zeroed it out, which is really nice. Okay, so that's going to be how we measure mass. And then I have different ways of measuring liquids. So I've got this right here. Now these two we're not going to use. This is a beaker and this is a flask. Even though it's got a scale on it, we never use that to measure. We're going to use something called a graduated cylinder. And when we get to class, finally get to class, I'll walk you through this, how we measure this. Mainly, we're going to look at it. We're going to look to where the water level goes to. But I want to show you something on the board here. The way the scale works, water tends to climb up the edges of the graduated cylinder. And so we're going to measure it from the middle of where the water stops. And that's going to be our measurement for the liquid. So that's kind of important. And again, I'll walk you through this when we get to this again. A third thing we have to measure is temperature. I've got an electronic temperature scale. We're going to use Celsius. We're not going to use Fahrenheit because we use all metric here. So I think you have to click this to get on Celsius, but then you can see that you can actually measure like whatever the temperature is using Celsius. I've got another temperature probe coming, which will be nice because it's going to allow us to actually make graphs on our devices. We can actually make graphs with that. Okay, so that gives me temperature measurement. And then the fourth way that we need to measure is length, and we're going to use rulers. And again, we're going to be in the metric system, so we're going to be using centimeters and millimeters and meters. So we'll be using that, and not feet and inches, because generally science is done using the metric system. So those are the 4 ways of measurement that we have. We talked about safety, and I'll have the safety video. The other thing, too, that we have is that we've got a safety glasses. And we're going to be using safety glasses in class when we do labs 4 times. There's 4 different times we're going to be using it. And let me get safety glasses out. Okay, safety glasses. So we got these nifty little safety glasses, different colors. They're very hard impact, so we'll be using those. We're going to use those 4 times. We're going to use them when we have projectiles. We have projectiles when we have, I guess that's backwards, isn't it? Fire and heat, when we have chemicals, and when we have glassware. So those 4 different times is when we'll actually be using safety glasses. I'll let you know. I think the book sometimes gets kind of ridiculous because they have you using it like when you're measuring the length of a string. They have you put on safety glasses. I'd rather do it when it's necessary so that we don't make it silly. So I'll tell you when you'll be using safety glasses in class. I think that's everything. I miss you guys. I wish I could get to know you better, and we miss you a lot. There won't be a lot of science homework. We'll be doing most of our work in class. So you all will be doing that at home, I guess, and uploading it to me so I can look at it. If you have any questions, please message me and let me know, and I can try to help you. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.